So we've got David here. He is forming a test sample of a headrest. This is how the headrest comes in the kit. It's shipped flat to keep it safe. And again, this is a test sample. It's a little bit scuffed up, a little bit scratched up, but what we want to show you is how to form this thing in your shop. You can see we've got two pieces of steel tube here. These are 3 feet long and 3/4 of an inch tall. We don't really care about the width, so if you have something in your shop that's 3/4 of an inch tall, this should work for you. Now we've got these lines here. Ignore these ones. We've got these lines here that are 7 inches from the end of the tube, and the end of the tube is right to the edge of the table. We've got this block clamped here, and at this end, the narrow end, we have a gap between tubes of roughly 1 inch and 1/8. It's not that critical to get it perfect. And here we have a gap of 1 3/4 inches. Again, it's not that critical. If you're within 1/8 of an inch, you're all right. We've got these blocks screwed to the table to prevent the tubes from splaying out. And if you don't mind grabbing the tube there, David, I'll show you how this works. So you slide the tube in. We have this 3/4 inch tall wooden block that we'll put right here at the end. Let's go that way, and that'll prevent the tube from going too far down into the fixture. We're going to slide this more or less right to the 7-inch line. We're going to make sure that this center rivet hole is, again, more or less in between the 2 pieces of steel. Okay, and now don't try and do this with your hands. Use a board on top to keep the tube from bowing. He's going to go, and it takes some force, he's going to push down until that tube just touches the block right there. Okay, and he is going to pull out the piece, and what you see now is we've got a crease. Oh, it ends, the hard crease ends a little more than 1/3 of the way, a little less than half of the way, the length of the piece. Okay, so what we're going to do now is show you how he flanges that. And one thing before we flange this, one thing I want to mention is to make sure that your tubes are all very clean, because if they're not, what it's going to leave is a bunch of, I mean, the smallest piece of dust will leave a bunch of, what do you want to call them, little puckers, dings, outies, innies, all kinds of weird things on your headrest. So make sure that this stuff is clean. You'll want to wipe it down with a towel before you start pressing it. So we're going to go ahead and show you how he flanges it now, and then we will finish the forming process around the front. Yeah. So the interesting thing about the headrest is that it has kind of a differential bend angle. Okay, up here at the front of the headrest, you want to aim for about 45 degrees, and you'll tweak it by hand with some seaming pliers. And back here, you basically want almost nothing. So David here is going to show you how we did that. We marked a 1/2 inch line, okay, a 1/2 inch from the edge, and put that 1/2 inch right up against the edge of the table. We've got that same rectangular tube. You can use basically any, I mean, wood. If it's wood, it's going to have to be really thick, because you don't want it to flex in the middle as you're hammering. And now he's going to bend this down over the edge of the table. Okay, so you see we get a little bit of ripplage. Is that a word? Ripplage?
It will be.
We get a little bit of ripplage from the forming process. That's not a big deal, because you're going to tweak these by hand with seaming pliers anyways, because you want this thing to fit the fuselage really well before you rivet it in place. And also, now again, you're still going to kind of massage out the ripples, right, after you've got the general shape fitting to the fuselage. But also, the rivets are going to leave slight puckers anyway. So again, form this, you're going to have ripples, fit it to the fuselage, tweak everything until you have it perfect, and then tweak out the ripples the best you can, and then rivet it. So Yeah, so go ahead and unclamp that real quick and let's show them the... Try and do this one-handed here. All right, so yeah, here's the front. You can see we have about a 30 to 45 degree bend. I'm not going to measure it, there's no reason to. And then that kind of fizzles out to nothing at the end. Okay, now make sure that you have the flanges going opposite the crease that you put in the middle. All right, so he's bent both flanges in up there. It is closer to 45 degrees. Back here it kind of fizzles into nothing. It's real important to try the best you can. And again, once you rivet it, it's going to look a little different, but it's important to try the best you can to get the taper, or the bend, I mean, to fizzle out at the same place, left and right. Now we've got this 2-inch tube, and we're going to try and form the front of the headrest. Right now we've just got this little crease here. Again, it was a 3/4 inch tube and those 2 square rectangular bars. And we've got the flanges here. So flanges, crease, but nothing up there. That's what he's going to do now around this 2-inch tube. So yesterday, when I was doing this, I noticed it's real important to try and keep the ends of the pieces of wood kind of in the same place. And I also noticed that this up here takes a curve pretty easily. It's actually about from the halfway point to, I don't know, the 3/4 way point that we need to be focusing most of this pressure. So what he's going to do is kind of give it some bends there, little gentle ones, and he's going to get more progressive up here, and he's going to keep working it back and forth until we get the curve we want. Now it's really important to not let the wood ding the metal, okay? So if you hear any oil canning noise, you know, that dunk noise, that indicates that you need to stop and inspect for a crease that you may have just put in this flange, and that's why we don't have music on. The shop's quiet. So go ahead and start, and again, pay really good attention to these corners to make sure you're not. You'll notice how far he's going around that. The front now, all it took was that one bend. The front is fine, okay? But down here, we still have nowhere near enough curve. And he's going to keep walking those pieces of wood back basically until the wood pieces touch each other. Come back this way a little more. Yeah, because we need to put a surprising amount of pressure back here too. Okay. He'll do this a few times, and by the time he's done, this thing will be darn near touching itself around the bottom side of the tube. Okay, let's go ahead and take that off and see. One more? All right. All right, let's go ahead and see how it looks. You'll see that he was very careful not to put any kinks in the metal. You'll see here that that's what the front looks like, and that'll actually smooth out, soften out once we get the front part of the headrest in. But go ahead and let's hold this up. This is a fuselage that we're doing some repairs on for a customer. We had to drill off the original headrest because it was pretty badly damaged. We had to bond a doubler inside the fuselage, so that's kind of what you see here. You see some bonded stuff, some adhesive that we need to remove still. Okay, so what we're going to do is make sure that these cleco holes back here line up, and they do. We don't have this perfectly positioned right now, but we did check it. And once we get one side clecoed in, we should be able to gently press the other side into place and cleco that, okay? And you may need to cleco and uncleco this a few times to make sure that your bend is how you want, okay? When you set this down on the fuselage, you should require almost no tension back here, okay? Because this is where it's stiffest, and very minor tension up here. And then once we get the headrest in, it's going to kind of control the shape of this up here. So One last note regarding the headrest. When you position this thing on the fuselage, this bulkhead rivet line should be in between those rivets there. So he test fit the headrest after putting in the flanges and this curvature up here. This curvature is too sharp right now, okay? When this has the headrest piece in, it's actually going to come down, all right? When it comes down, it's going to change the angle down here, okay? So you can see right here we drilled out a rivet in the bulkhead because we want to put a countersunk rivet there. And we're also going to tap this down on the headrest with a piece of wood gently to kind of form into this crease here, okay? Now, we can see here, and again, when we get this in, things are going to change, but we can see here that the angle, I mean, that's pretty good. It's pretty tight up against the fuselage. Back here, the angle changes, okay, and we need to get the angle tighter. And that means we need to bring the crease a little further back. So he's going to put this back on the table and hammer the crease a little more back here. If you try and rivet that, what you're going to get is the rivet is going to, it could do a few things. It could first off bend, okay? It could try and expand in between layers. And it can also, if it's successfully driven, it will pull the headrest down into the fuselage skin and basically crater out the flange here and stretch the hole, yeah, and the rivet could actually even tear the headrest, and we don't want that. So it's pretty critical to get that fitting right. Coming over here, you can see we have much of the same thing. The angle doesn't quite match the angle of the fuselage. Up here, it's actually even worse. Okay, and then up here, of course, since there's not a lot of tension, it's better, but we still want to sharpen this up here because, again, when we put the headrest piece in, you know, the actual metal piece that goes here, it's going to pull this down, which is going to require a tighter bend here. Okay, so yeah, you can see it moving as I pull on it. So he's going to go ahead and take this off, and he's going to do this however many times it requires to get this thing fitting pretty darn well.
That's just him trying to stay about 1/8 of an inch behind it.
That's probably pretty good.
Yep, I don't think we need too much more, and if we go too much more, I think we're going to leave a divot back there.
Right. So after he did that, now when we get this pulled down in, that will be a nice joggle. And of course we sanded this edge of the skin with 320 grit to round over that, so we know it's not cutting into the headrest. So he'll do the same to the other side, and that's how you form that little joggle. It's as easy as that.